Everybody, or whatever time it is where you are. Just want to thank you for joining us this evening for our webinar and introduction to the programs that we have here in the Graduate Division of Analytics and Data Science at the University of New Hampshire. A little bit about who we are. We are a program faculty that extends across our university. We have some core faculty. Joining us tonight will be a few folks who can hopefully answer some of your questions. Myself, our lead faculty and statistician, Professor Prashant Mittal, our program coordinator, Lynn Tram, who can tell you, especially if you're an international student, about some of the resources available to you at UNH. Other faculty who are in the program and can't join us are Professor Alex Booth, who has developed our online certificate, and I can speak to some questions on that, and our program assistant, Mallory Hubbard, who you've been listening to as you wait. So welcome, everyone. And I realize many of you online are not familiar with the University of Hampshire and come from other places. So what we thought we would start with is a quick overview, not very long, of the university, where it is, and some of its amenities. So the university is located in Durham, New Hampshire, and you can see it here. We're approximately, I think, 15,000 undergraduate students and roughly 7,000 to 8,000 graduate students, depending on what year you're here. We are what is considered an R1 university institution, which is Research 1. It is the top tier institutional status for government grant work. We are a land, sea, and space grant institution, which means we do government grant foundational work in all of those areas. We are located on the seacoast of New Hampshire, and we're about 8 miles from the New Hampshire coastline, although we have estuaries that come right up here to campus. We are about an hour north of Boston, and we have 3 airports that service the area about equidistant apart. That's Boston, Logan, Manchester International Airport, and also Portland. And we also just recently have an airport here in the seacoast area. So we can talk to you a little bit more about that. But the reason for bringing that up is that we have opportunities in faculty from a number of different disciplines, being an R1 institution, that allow us to specialize and provide access to analytic and data science work with an application in many different areas. So a little bit about our program. Technically, we are a 12-month program, but we do take a month break in what is called January term here at UNH. It is not a term we utilize within the program, but our students do continue to work. So we call it an 11-month actual residential program. It is full-time. For those of you, I'm sure many of you know that analytics and data science are probably one of the fastest growing fields, if not the fastest growing field in industry today, private and public. So we get a large demand for our program, but we also have a lot of demand from our employers, and that's good and bad, I suppose. So some quick data about the application process. So this will be our 3rd full year of operation. Last year, we had about a 30% admission rate to our master's program. This year, applications are up. So I suspect that acceptance rate will drop slightly. Our current class is approximately 30% international. It ranges from fields of study from liberal arts to engineering to computer science, mathematics, statistics, economics, business, you name it. We have a mix of professional degrees from newly graduated undergraduates to masters in business administration, masters of science in various fields, and then also doctorate degrees in our program. The other programs that we offer are a 12-week in-person certificate, which is actually the first 3 months of the master's degree. The program begins in May. Everyone comes together at that time for the in-person program. It's an intensive summer boot camp. That first 3 months also serves as our residential certificate. At the end of that semester, those individuals graduate and the rest of the cohort continues on. During that time, we learn a number of programming languages. We are taught the SAS programming language. We teach SAS, Python, R, and also SQL. SAS is actually taught by our colleagues at SAS. They come up here for a week and do SAS-based instruction. At the end of that, you're qualified to sit for the SAS programmer certification, should you choose. We don't require it. But there are a number of SaaS certifications that you would be eligible to sit for, given the instruction of the program, as a resume building exercise. There's the only other certification that we monitor out there that you're also eligible to sit for is the Certified Analytics Professional or the Associate Certified Analytics Professional exam offered through the Informed Society. Again, that's not taught to directly, but the general competency nodes are covered in our program. So a little bit about the program. It's immersive. We tell folks we can't really work and come to this program. We teach 2 years inside of 1 year's time frame. So you're in class generally most mornings from 9 until 1 o'clock. The rest of the time is spent in teams or individually doing your homework assignments, your case study assignments. And then once we hit the fall and spring, well, actually all year long, you'll have a project, a team-based project. In the summer, it's using public use data because you are learning a lot of things at once. We didn't want you to have to data clean on top of that, so it's fairly clean data. But when you hit the fall and spring, we partner with industries from various sectors. So this year, to give you some examples, we have 2 healthcare, we have disability insurance, we have higher education, we have a mainframe technology company, we have a startup sports company. So we have a number of different companies that I can talk about and answer some more questions. And they have various projects and they supply us with real data. So the students will work on those projects and teams for a period of 7 months as if they were consultants to that organization. The faculty work as coaches to help the students. So you learn in the classroom, you apply on the projects, and we're here to do that with you. And in addition to the classroom work in your technical skill sets, we also do a tremendous amount in terms of project management, soft skills, presentation skills, a lot of the things that employers have told us that they are looking for on the critical thinking side. So we try to keep it as applied and applicable to the real world problems as possible. The last thing I would mention is the return on investment. So the University of New Hampshire, for those of you who inevitably will ask how much does it cost, those rates are set. They're on our financial website, for which we have a link to it that is a per credit hour cost. That is for the year. For every semester, it stays consistent. You're taking 12 credits per semester, so you can just multiply that out. It'll change slightly next year, but we don't have those numbers, or I'd give them to you. But we estimate the average return on investment for a student, given our median starting salary, is roughly 18 months, and that's with lost wages. Our median starting salary last year was roughly around $90,000. So, and 100% placement. So in-demand skills for sure. So from that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the curriculum, and for that, I'm going to introduce Professor Prashant Mittal. Our curriculum, as you will see, is module-based and very flexible and nimble, but he'll give you a sense of what we expect and what you will learn in your year here should you join us.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Prashant Mittal, and I'm one of the instructors for the master's degree at University of New Hampshire in analytics. So I hope you can all see this graphic on the screen. And if you focus on the left-hand side, you see the first item you see is algebra. So that whole column is what we call domains, and these are the main domains that we cover in 1 year. All of these domains are broken down into subdomains, and each subdomain has a competence level that we that grows as the semesters go. So what you see in summer, fall, and spring columns. There are 4 courses each in each semester. And what you see within those columns are boxes and some numbers written in them. They precisely describe the number of weeks we spend on each subdomain. So you may notice that some of the subdomains, for example, data mining and big data, they are listed in multiple courses, which essentially reflects upon the fact that the first time they are present in a course, that's the basic introduction to these submodules. And as we move along, we boost those ideas during those semesters. So there are certain competencies that we emphasize on. There are 3 programming languages that are the core programming languages that are taught throughout the year. And those languages are R, Python, and SAS. SQL programming is embedded in all 3 languages because SQL is essentially a platform-independent language. So the way we start is during summer semester, where we introduce all 3 languages, and fall and spring semester, we give boosters to these languages. Fall semester primarily emphasizes on R and Python, and there's a heavy emphasis on machine learning domain also. So there are a couple of places where you will see X's. For instance, under Data 901, for R programming, you see X, and X represents that particular subdomain is taught throughout the semester. So that would last for all 14 weeks. So that's pretty much it from my side, and I'm happy to answer any questions if they arise later on.
So you'll notice on the map that at the end of the fall and spring, you also have what are called cluster options. So one of the things that differentiates this program, I think, from many others out there is that it goes beyond being a generalist analytics or data science program. And this was a bit of a bias that we had in the program, myself particularly, having come from the healthcare industry, that we felt our students would benefit from having some contextual knowledge. In healthcare, for example, if you don't understand the reimbursement system or the coding classifications or the jargon for that matter, you're at a disadvantage. So to that end, what we have done is partnered with various departments across the university to create 2 course sequences that give students some contextual knowledge through their coursework. And these are introductory but graduate level courses that would expose a student in any of these areas. So our business school teaches courses in economics, finance, accounting, marketing, decision sciences, and you can read the list. We're always expanding this list. Students can also mix and match these courses if they make sense. So say, for example, if you wanted to take athletic administration and finance, reasonable combination, we would say that's fine, and we would just look at the semesters that those courses are offered. Typically, these courses are offered in the afternoon or online. One of the newest ones we've recently added is in the policy and politics arena. The University of New Hampshire has a new Carsey School for Public Policy. So they offer courses in policy and communication, and then also analysis and practice. So some of them have a slightly analytic bent to them, but very rarely are you going to be using your analytic skills or learning new ones in them. It's more for contextual purposes. And again, there's also a self-design option, which we are happy to talk about a little bit. So to talk a little bit about quickly who we are and where we sit within the university, what's unique about our program is that we don't sit within any college. So the university has its overarching, there's the overarching university, it's divided into colleges. Those are Health and Human Services, the College of Engineering and Physical Sciences, the School of Law. We have a lot of different colleges here. We sit in the middle. And the reason we do that is because we borrow our faculty for these submodules that you saw in the curriculum map, given their area of expertise. So when you learn from a faculty who's teaching Python, it's because they are an expert in Python, or if it's operations management or optimization, you would get a professor who's well-versed in that, and that's really their area of specialization. So we're very fortunate that we can borrow the brightest UNH faculty who really enjoy teaching that subject matter, and that's the exposure you get. The other side of it is that everything we do is highly applied. So the coursework that you will do is always relative to case studies. We don't go super deep into any one area. So for example, pick machine learning, we go deep, but we don't drill so far deep that we're never applying it. It's always with an applied framework. So the goal here is to always be resume building. It's always to be looking vertically across areas. It's always to be thinking about how this could be utilized in a real world setting. and then using those professionalization skills to always be thinking about where are you going to apply this and where's your career going to be, because you're here for a very short period of time. So to talk about our practicum projects a little bit further, I'll give you a sense, and we have a slide here next that'll show you some of the partners we work with. We're regional in the Northeast, but that doesn't mean we only do regional projects and have regional partners. So the fortunate thing about the Northeast part of the world is it was the home of technology startups once upon a time, with the era of Lotus and some of those, and I think it's starting to come back a bit as the walls, geographic walls, start to fall globally for some of these companies. So we work with Dell EMC, we work with Walmart, Fidelity, Unum, Truban Health. We have startups such as Winning Algorithms. One of our partners, Planet Fitness, many of you might be familiar with. They have 7 million members around the country and soon internationally. But we have small local partners as well. So some of the healthcare systems locally. Liberty Mutual happens to be local, even though they're a national or global company. Weather Analytics is a local startup that's really exciting. So we try to provide a mix for students who have different levels of interest, whether it's you want to be in a large enterprise type of place, or if you want to really get into a startup mode and be more creative and ground level. I think we provide access to all of those things, and we have a number of different partners that expand every year. I'll be honest, we get more requests for projects than we can handle. So it's a nice position to be in when you come here, because there are a lot of opportunities, and it goes beyond that. And outside the classroom, we try to engage those partners through our what's called UNH Data Lab, which we run, which houses our hackathons. It houses our projects that go beyond the practicum, and it houses some of the, I won't call it consulting work, but it's work that we do specifically to answer questions that project partners have on a more timely manner. So there's lots of different opportunities for people to be living, eating, and breathing analytics and data science during the year that they're here. I talked a little bit about the professional development. We do spend a good amount of time on this, and I'll explain quickly why. When we built this program, we surveyed and did focus groups of a number of employers across sectors. And the top things that we asked them a straight question: what do you expect out of a new graduate, and what do you envision you will need in the coming 5 years? Give us your top 4 list. The top 3 were critical thinking, communication, and the ability to work in groups. So those are key foci of ours. We continue to hear that, and so the technical skills follow, but it's really the application of those skills. As I mentioned, we have a diversity of faculty that changes all the time. And I will say too, our curriculum changes all the time. What we teach, given the modules and given the model of construction, we can keep up with changes in the workplace very easily. So for example, if, as happened this year, if people are starting to use more of one programming language over another, then we can simply change that. Or if a new one starts to come into favor, we can add that. Or if people are starting to move heavily into Spark environments, for example, we can accommodate that. So it's a very robust program that allows us to do a lot of things. In terms of our graduates, and our applicants, so as I mentioned, they come from all over the place, largely business and management of some kind, but humanities are well represented, healthcare, engineering, the sciences. Here we list an average salary, not the median, but a high level of increase. And then you can see the type of jobs that, this is just our first year cohort. We didn't update this yet for this year, so there's only 15 of them, or a little more than that. But this is the types of jobs they interviewed for. Obviously, they had multiple interviews. I will say that the students who left the first year on average had 2 to 3 job offers. They were able to be very selective. Some of them have even moved in their jobs since graduating, and they were highly sought after even before they left the program. This year, we have a slightly larger class. The first year's class was 15. As we launched, we wanted to make it manageable. This year's class, we doubled. So we're about twice that. Students are already interviewing, and some of them are, I'm sure, will be getting job offers soon. We start that process now because we realize, given budget cycles and hiring cycles, they're going to start getting offers here coming up in January and February. And we want everybody really lined up and ready to be employed come May graduation time. And really, it's late April and May when people start. So in our first year, we were fortunate enough to be recognized as a top value program by Bloomberg, which means for the relative money you put in, you get a lot out. And that's great to be ranked. It's not something we seek, but we have a small group of programs out there across the country that we started with. There's over 100 programs now. And we feel that only a few of them truly teach analytics and data science in the spirit of what the discipline is. And that's interdisciplinary, applied, and very hands-on and high touch. Some of the programs that we work consistently with are North Carolina State, Kennesaw State, Texas A&M, Cincinnati, San Francisco. We have a core group of programs. We meet regularly. So if you're looking at programs and you start to see those programs, that's sort of the company we keep. And we often talk about best practices in teaching and changes in the field. So you can be assured that you're, at least from a program perspective, what you're being taught is what's being thought of as the current and most utilized skills out there right now. So wrapping up soon, the last thing I want to mention that is new to us and we're very excited about is an online certificate. So in response to industry, we had a lot of industry partners say that, you know, we love the program, but we have this existing workforce that really could use some upskills. Would you be willing to put an online certificate out there that would teach primarily the hard skills of data science? And so we created what's called the Graduate Certificate in Intro to Data Science. And this is probably more data science-y than, you know, the applied analytics. We are still going to use applied projects or applied case studies, but it's self-driven. It's in a 16-week format, 4 8-week courses, each 2 taught concurrently. So your first 2 courses run concurrently, and your second 2 would run concurrently. Those courses are statistics for data science, programming for data science, I believe predictive modeling, and data architecture. And in those, you will do things like use compartmentalization, meaning compartments, online compartments, Juniper notebooks. You'll create a GitHub portfolio, things that it utilizes data science to teach data science. So it's an exciting new program. We're very excited about it. We plan to pilot it in January. We are currently accepting applications right now. We're going to cap this one at about 20 students just to make sure it runs effectively, but that is up, and you can see the link there to find it through the graduate school or through our website. So that is an overview of all of our programs. We would love to hear from you what specific questions you have, what we can answer. And as always, we hope that if you do have further questions that we don't get to, you can certainly find us in a number of different places. One is our website, and a number of other sites you can follow us online and keep up with what our students are doing. We will say on our website there's some profiles of both our students and our alumni, so you can get a better picture of what to expect. So thank you all for being with us for that 25 minutes, and we'd open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
One question.
Okay, can you am I unmuted? So I have a question from Caitlin, and the question, I'm going to read the question quickly and then give a brief answer to that. Approximately how many hours of coursework would the graduate certificate include per week? And the person works full-time and wants to know if this is something she could do. So since you asked specifically about graduate certificate, I'm assuming this is in-person summer graduate certification. So summer graduate certification lasts for 3 months, and it is broken down into 2 pieces, the first part of the summer and the second part of the summer. First part of the summer has 2 courses, second part also has 2 courses. Traditionally, we go from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and it typically runs like a full-time job consecutively for 12 weeks during summer months. And 9 to 5 is with us. Traditionally, students work outside, and generally they stay busy until 8 or 9 at night. We call it a boot camp, and we are very sincere about it because it's a very rigorous summer semester.
If you're talking about the online certificate, I can say it is meant for working professionals. However, that said, these are full courses. Even though they're 8 weeks, there will be a good amount of work to do. So it's hard to answer your question without knowing how you like to work, but it is self-driven. So while the window of the class is 8 weeks long, you can complete the submodules within it online at your pace. So I think it's highly doable. It will take your time, and if you want to do it in 16 weeks, it's certainly a commitment, but it was designed with the working professional in mind. So the next question we have is, what do we look at in an applicant to get into your program? Well, I can tell you that we look at a couple of things, but we're a little different in this regard. That's a great question. Many programs you'll see out there require multiple courses in calculus or some quantitative background, GREs, GMATs. We don't use a lot of those tools. What we do, we do require that you have had a college level statistics class and that you are not quantitatively afraid or have had bad experience in quantitative classes. And that really can be anything from physics to organic chemistry to math and statistics. We look for people who want to be here, who are generally curious, self-motivated people. This is not a program for someone who is looking to capitalize on a growing field because the money's good. I don't think you'll be successful in that. If you are a curious person and you enjoy lifelong learning, and that questions really drive you, I think that is probably a good indication that this might be for you. And I let my colleague, Professor Mittal, say a little more on that.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think this is a good segue to move on to the next question, which is, I saw that here, which disappeared. And the question says, the website mentions an interview with an analytics program faculty. How do you go about arranging this? So, as Professor McGrath was saying, that curiosity is one characteristic that we look for, and the way we gauge whether the person is the right fit for this program or not is through interviews. As soon as the applicant finishes their application, we interview each and every one. And the interview lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. And the questions range from being technical to the research interest, but more importantly, why the applicant wants to join this program and what the long-term goals are. So,
yeah, we look for, we're building a team here, similar to what you would find in a workforce. So we actually select people very specifically in trying to build our student cohort team, because everything we do is in teams. So we really do try to balance out skill sets. We try to balance out people's backgrounds. We balance out their experience levels, knowing full well that they are going to learn from each other as much from us. So, we may get a lot of folks who have a lot of background in SQL or, have a strong computer science background. We may not take all those people. We may get somebody who has, say, an architecture background, but has a real drive towards application of data science. That person might be more suited to work in a team with somebody who has good coding skills, with somebody who has good statistical skills. We try to do our interviews in person, but obviously that's not always possible. We're happy to arrange for Skype interviews, especially obviously with our online, with our international students. So we're open as to mechanisms to do that.
So the next question is from Kenneth Kim. The question is, how much of the curriculum is focused on technical practical skills, data wrangling, ETL, versus more academic theoretical knowledge such as machine learning algorithms, etc. Kenneth, it's a great question, and I think the answer to that is we try to replicate what really happens at a workplace in a project setting. I think it's cliched and it's known that in any data science project, 80% of the time is spent on data wrangling, munging, and cleaning and managing. and 20% of the time is spent on analyzing and disseminating the results. We try to reflect upon that, but it is absolutely impossible to actually allocate 80% of the time on the data management part. So the way our program is designed is that everything is case-based, which means that there would be a domain on machine learning, which is, for example, taught during fall semester. That machine learning domain would assign a bunch of case studies, which is where students would spend that 80% of the time cleaning and managing, and the skills they learn in different domains throughout the year. So it is quite well distributed in both ways, which is the practical side, the applied side, as well as the theoretical side. But when it comes to theoretical side, we personally are not interested in making students prove theorems, which is what the classic definition of theoretical side is. Our theoretical side is also very applied. I mean, we teach machine learning in a way that the student understands what the thinking was when that machine learning algorithm was created, what the output means from that machine learning algorithm, and if a student can create or replicate that or similar machine learning algorithm if they were given an opportunity.
Thanks for that. Other questions? Great. Well, we certainly would welcome, if you do have questions that you think of that after the fact that you wish you would have asked, please just send them along. We're very accessible and happy to talk with any of you. And that includes any specific personal questions you might have about an application, about timeframes. Either Mallory, Lynn, all of us actually are very responsive and happy to have those conversations with you. We're also happy to have telephone conversations with you and get to know you as well. So our application cycle is open now. We likely will probably be closing that sometime in the January-February time frame, depending on where we're at, and we will waitlist people as well. So as we start to build our pool of folks, we may waitlist people or open it up for put them in a pile for the following year. But if you have questions about any of that or any of our certificates, please be in touch. And I want to just thank everyone for their time tonight, and I hope we were able to answer your questions, and maybe we will see some of you soon. So thanks, and have a great evening.